Dime qué tú quieres, papi. ¿Quieres que lo mueva para ti? Mueve, mueve. ¿Te gusta cuando me muevo así? Así.
Thank you, God, for this day we have lived, everything in our life, our health, our family, the guidance you have given us, allow us guidance to the path of righteousness. Amen.
Really, I'ma get that bitch. Revenge is a dish best served cold. She took my son, now my soul is cold. He took my daddy, now my soul is old. Yeah. Woke up.
Yeah, man.
That's hot shit right there, man.
So what we gonna do? We gonna dub?
King Chaka ENT. Y'all can check out the music on Spotify, Apple, and other services.
Looks like we got us another hit.
Doing what we do 3 to 4 nights a week. King Chaka ENT.
I got this.
From the
She
back
starts
seat.
shooting.
That dude was like, ow.
What was that?
Outside the car,
That nigga
deputies'
got
body
popped.
cameras capturing the bullets flying through the air.
We got shots fired
couldn't
up
have been
here.
a straight
We need
shot. It had
backup
to be-
immediately. Start
Are you-
EMS. Start EMS.
What
We got
the
a
fuck?
civilian. We got a civilian hit.
The deputy.
Looks like we got us another hit.
We're gonna take a little break right now. When we come back, we're gonna take a little break right now. When we take a little break right now. When we come back, we're gonna take a little break right now.
Man, why the hell this house ain't clean, man?
Where the food at?
Hey, man. Oh my God.
Been working all day. Dang.
Private numbers on the phone.
And it make me wonder.
No meal when I'm home.
It make me wonder.
And you don't even want a bone.
And it make me wonder.
The wrong name when you moan.
And it make me wonder.
Private numbers on the phone.
And it make me wonder.
No meal when I'm home.
And it make me wonder.
And you don't even want a bone.
And it make me wonder.
The wrong name when you moan.
And it make me wonder.
I told my girl to try new things, talk, but she say she ain't into that.
Mine's is into that, she all on the internet.
What you mean, MySpace?
Hell yeah, MySpace. Then she wanna trip when it's chicks in my face.
Blah, 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 etc., etc.
You ain't gon' find nobody better.
But her girlfriend's telling her
She's a princess.
but Chuck, I love her. Should I come to my senses?
Pussy whoop, that vagina got you senseless.
Nah, Chuck, I'm just saying I'm coming home to new.
Man, I need a blunt, matter of fact, twist two of them.
She say that house dirty, so I blame it on the poodle.
Ain't clean the bathroom in weeks.
And she won't get pissed off when it's piss on the seat. Private numbers on the phone.
And that make me wonder.
No meal when I'm home.
And that make me wonder.
And you don't even want a bone.
And that make me wonder.
The wrong name when you moan.
And that make me wonder.
Private numbers on the phone.
And it make me wonder.
No meal when I'm home.
And it make me wonder.
And you don't even want a bone.
And that make me wonder.
The wrong name when you moan.
And that make me wonder. Tossing in the bed, strange thoughts in my head.
What you think, she cheating?
Nah, I don't know, I ain't give her a reason.
Every time I go to mine's office, her boss just leaving.
Breathing and wheezing like she got asthma.
She just got 3 raises and a brand new plasma.
Mine spend all my money at garage sales.
I was thinking about marriage, buying a ring from Zales.
Why she need $100 just to do her nails?
Man, she won't even salute my little soldier.
Just don't care.
I could swear she bipolar.
She take my Escalade.
Got me driving her Nova.
She bought a 7-Up.
Man, she know I like cola.
Forgot I was born in the month of October.
Man, I'm finna go and tell it that it's over.
Man, I'm finna go and tell her that it's over.
Yes, I just want to let you know that I'm going to be, stop Ryan, I'm going to be working so a little late tonight, so could you go home and make sure the kids are in bed and probably have to cook yourself something to eat tonight, so, okay, well,
That's what I'm talking about right there. See that? It's a wrap. We done.
Hey, how y'all doing out there? How y'all feel? Remember, we want you to be an activist. Don't take our word for it. Look that mess up. Thank you, God, for this day we have lived. Everything in our life, our health, our family, the guidance you have given us. Allow us guidance to the path of righteousness. Amen. Amen, amen, amen. How y'all feel out there, man? What's going on? What's good? Feel good? The name of the show today is Consuming Innocence. I'm going to get back to that. Let me play
under dispute right now. Now, I realize that in the next response, you're going to say that it's a function of my organization because your tendency is to blame everyone else for the mistakes that you make. My responsibility as a leader is to see a problem and try to solve it. When I saw that we had 800,000 unregistered people of color in the state of Georgia, I started an organization that has reached into every county and increased those registrations. When I saw that people were being unlawfully denied the right to vote, I worked to make certain that we held you accountable. And as the next governor of Georgia, I will continue to do my job to make certain that every legally eligible vote that gets cast gets counted.
Ms. Abrams, thank you.
My question is, why are you encouraging people to break the law for you in this election?
Mr. Kemp, you are very aware that I know the laws of Georgia when it comes to voting. In fact, I am one of the foremost experts in the state on expansion of voting rights. And I have never in my life asked for anyone who is not legally eligible to vote to be able to cast a ballot. What I've asked for is that you allow those who are legally eligible to vote to allow them to cast their ballots. And in fact, we took you to court in 2016, and a federal judge said that you illegally canceled 34,000 registrations. You use the exact same system, the exact match system that is under dispute right now. Now, I realize that in the next response, you're going to say that it's a function of my organization because your tendency is to blame everyone else for the mistakes that you make. My responsibility as a leader is to see a problem and try to solve it. When I saw that we had 800,000 unregistered people of color in the state of Georgia, I started an organization that has reached into every county and increased those registrations. When I saw that people were being unlawfully denied the right to vote, I worked to make certain that we held you accountable. And as the next governor of Georgia, I will continue to do my job to make certain that every legally eligible vote that gets cast gets counted.
Yep, the cycle is heating up, y'all. It's heating up. Let me see. Is there any comments worth of crap here? Kemp Inner Circle campaign group just got a pink slip. Somebody says, "Don't play with her. Got to be quicker than that." Somebody said. Somebody else says, "Dude is crooked. Stacy for governor. Hope she wins." If don't come for me unless I send for you a person. She flamed him with class. Read him like Dick and Jane. Okay, that's enough of that. It's heating up. The cycle is coming around, and oh yeah, let me play Trey. I don't know if y'all saw this. This is becoming a news cycle of its own, but I didn't play the fight, so I don't play that kind of stuff. I try to stay away from that. But this is his response. If y'all don't know the background, it's like Trey and Zero are like kind of like local rappers for Houston, and there's beef been going way back. Like even with 97.9, the box is kind of involved in it too. It's like it's complex. But anyways, there was a fight recently at the 50 Cent event that happened in Houston. And so like there's a video floating around, and it looked like Zero got jumped by Trey and his peoples, his brother and them. So this is Trey's little because really the thing is, if you don't know who he is, like this guy's he's a leader in the community in Houston. Like he's a badass, bro. Like I really look up to this guy when it comes to like community organizing and helping people and shit. Like can't nobody say he don't do that. Like this guy is the man when it comes to that in Houston. Like every time there's a disaster or something really bad happens, he's like out there, bro, like taking care of business. Like he prepared for that shit. Like that's what he does. Like, anyways, let's hear this.
That we rightfully. Yo, check this out. I'm gonna address this one time only, man. I feel like I'm at a point in my life I'm not gonna sit here and let stuff just linger around. But I do feel I owe it to people to know, especially people who really rock with me, man, to know the situation that they trying to paint, the narrative they paint, this shit is false. Not no 7-on-1 situation. Wasn't no blindside ambush. That's not what this is. This was family business, internal stuff that's been going on for 10, 15 years that's probably been building up and just spilled over into shit, you know what I'm saying? And the crazy thing, I'm watching all these blogs and everybody say some of the stuff they say when they don't know. Me and this man held a conversation for damn near 2 hours the day after. You know what I'm saying? Probably a conversation that was needed to be had. But it's just so crazy to watch so many people try and put their 2 cents in and think they know what they talking about and say this, say that. And look, I'm not on here to be trying to defend nothing. What I will tell you is those who know my character know I always been stand up. They know I don't do no fuck shit, man. Probably got one of the biggest hearts ever. But they also know I stand up for what I stand up on. If in any way I feel disrespected, I'm a stand up. I'm a man. You know, I'm human. Sometimes we do things out of emotion that may mess us up. Sometimes we do things that we rightfully feel is right. What I can say is, and the situation and this internal stuff, man. You know, it's crazy because we've been fighting our whole life. Our whole family always fights. So it's just different now because it's always cameras and it's always social media and people with opinion. It ain't no hate for that, man. You gotta understand. I'm never gonna let nobody hurt or harm him. You know, and that's just it's as simple as can be. As far as the blogs, as far as everybody who has something to say that I'm seeing, just you got to keep that same energy. For those who really rock with me, if I let y'all down, that's on me. I stand on that, and I accept my accountability. But other than that, man, it is what it is, dog. I'm not gonna let people keep adding fuel to the fire, keying it up or gassing it up.
Well, they definitely keying it up and gassing it up because freaking I see interviews. I think what's his name from Channel 13, I want to say in Houston is interviewing Zero. It's gonna be, if it didn't come out tonight, it's coming out soon because I saw some clips of that. And it's like, yeah, so like, people, for those that know, but then it's really entertainment at the end of the day, right? Because people look at people, they see them as celebrities, and then they're going through a real personal situation because it's kind of like, even though these dudes been beefing, but the underground music scene in Houston is small. Everybody knows everybody. Not only that, these guys came from like the same, like, so like it's kind of like what he's saying is like, okay, it's like my brother. I'm having a fight with my brother. I don't want to hurt him. You know what I'm saying? I don't want him to die. You know, it's just we had a scrap, and then it's like all the cameras. So now it gets blowed up or whatever. But if it, and then he said that he talked to him afterwards for a couple of hours. So, and then if it was real beef, then, all of these guys got guns. Okay. This is Texas. Everybody got guns. So, it wasn't like that. It was more of from what I can see, I don't know. I'm outside looking in, but from what I can see, I'm riding with Trey on his explanation. I'm gonna ride with him on that. I I'm more of a fan of Trey than Zero, anyways. if I gotta pick a side, and everybody is Zero fans. I don't know. It's a thing. So he's known more, I'd say, outside of Houston. I would say more than Trey. I think. I don't know. I don't know why, but it is what it is. What up, Pat? You there?
Yeah, man. What's poppin'?
What's going on? Did you hear Trey's basically apology? Did you see the video? I ain't gonna play it, but did you see the video of the fight between Zero and Trey?
No,
Floating around.
no. When this happened?
It happened this past weekend, right? Because 50 Cent had that event. It was like a celebrity. It was last Friday.
This past Friday.
Yeah, this past Friday, and it's been floating around. It went viral, and so much so that Trey felt like he needed to like apologize for it.
Yeah, I've been so much into UK news and African news that I I hadn't really paid that much attention to our own. So
Man, that's what I do all the time, and I ain't gonna lie. I have to remind myself, and only fairly recently have I been more successful at doing that because I get lost in the global events, but the macro, the micro, what, as above, so below. I
well,
think
I
it's
mean,
important.
everything really everything that's happening out there is the same stuff that's happening here. It's just that I think they're more vocal about it there.
So, what did you
Like,
see? You saw some stuff in UK or whatever. What did you see?
I mean, I mean, it's probably like I said. I mean, they do a lot of talking about us, but I mean, most of the stuff I'm seeing is like related to you know the propaganda, shall I say, the
Yeah.
the things that we're real careful about talking about.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so man, wartime propaganda, and then you can add on that what pandemic time propaganda.
Well,
Damn, that's double.
that's the majority of it, and like I mean, there's different views of it, and I like to get different perspectives.
Yeah, they
That
got
way
real
I can
good
kind of
numbers
develop my own.
coming out the UK. They kept track of a lot of shit, so there's a lot of good data that's coming out of there.
And that's why I track it because, like, I mean, the main thing is that okay, the percentage, the percentile is gonna be about what and what. So if I'm paying attention there, like we can kind of pretty much say that the identical thing is happening here. I mean, and
If not identical, very similar. So you could definitely
it
say that.
it's close enough to, like you don't have to suspect much different.
Because they're a lot like us, and they just came out and said that life expectancy for Americans or United States has dropped again over the prior year. On the prior year, the life expectancy of us dropped, and then the next year after that, it dropped
Are,
even further.
are they talking about natural death, or is this with the new calculations of you know like with all the different changes, like a lot of these people probably ain't gonna make it to this age because
Well,
because
COVID
of
was a factor, but it's people are dying more of stuff like just random stuff, and I think I have a video on this, but they're like depression, man, like the lockdowns, and
well
like I
that
mean,
man, like that's a part of. I've seen some of that talk too, and my opinion on that is that that's like another way of covering up some of the real, like giving other options of why. When they know the truth, they know that more people are gonna die because they lined up and got the stab.
yeah, but it's not just that. These are numbers that are coming after everything. This is after everything is over. All of that's, I mean, you could say about the lingering effects of it. That's beside the point. But we're talking about like, depression overall, period. You know what I mean? Like, I can't freaking explain what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying this right.
Well,
Let
I
me
mean,
look it up.
I can see that being high rates of depression afterwards because so many people believe in our government or governments, and I'm sure to a lot of people it's disappointing. Like they put so much stock into it, and then they see that they think that they're high on the list of people they care about, and then they realize, oh, after all, that you know they really don't mean it. Like it's like they really don't give a shit about me. Oh my god. So like I could see it on that aspect, but like I think that the majority of Americans know and have been somewhat prepared, and especially with the clear signs of what's been happening in the last 2 years. you know they're but shoot, not to say some of the big stuff that's happened this year. Like they know that their government doesn't give a shit, and they're really like, shoot, priming up, exercising, training, getting, because before they just let it all fall, believe me, a lot of them are gonna stand up and do something.
Oh man, did you hear about the Mississippi, the water in Mississippi? I'm gonna come back to that though. It's a bunch of stuff. I can't find what the freak I'm looking for, but oh well. I'm gonna go
That's
to
a
this.
that's another thing I've been hearing about too. Yeah, but that's stuff that's happening around the world too. Like the 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 things that they're expecting to be passed around with mosquitoes. You
Mm,
see anything about that?
nuh-uh. But I know that we got water problems, and then I know that that's that it's mostly black folks over there, and then and this is not like overnight type of thing. It's because these things haven't been fixed in all of this time, and that's what they're talking about. And then it's like when they talk about climate refugees and stuff like that. Anyways, I'm gonna come back to that. Since we brought up the pandemic, let me play some Russell Brand.
2018 and 2019 were years of record global unrest. So what were the lockdowns really about?
And that point right there was something that I was mentioning right away, because do you remember in China was going crazy right before the pandemic happened? Remember?
Well, see, we had a late reaction to a lot of it. They like a lot of the stuff was already kind of surfaced there, and they went full fledged.
No, I'm talking about before that. There was riots and shit. They were rioting against the government. There was riots in China. There was riots in France. You had the yellow vest thing going.
What you recall what it was really about?
It was a bunch of stuff. I'm talking about multiple countries here, but they were railing against the government, not happy with the government, not happy with what the way things are, trying to make things better. Like huge protests, a lot of people. Here, let me play some of this.
Truth in this tunic. If you don't subscribe yet, subscribe right now and turn on the notification bell in case the big tech overlords are against us and somehow prohibiting you from getting this wonderful content that we make every single day, simply so that you and I can engage. Let us know in the comments below what you want to see more of, because I know you are interested in this. Is the establishment finding ways to prevent global uprisings that would bring about more democracy, more control of our own communities, more solidarity between the people of the world, less cultural division? I had a fantastic conversation with Max Blumenthal from the Grey Zone, where we talked about the impact of COVID and the measures that were deployed apparently to prevent its spread, and how those measures have almost uniformly benefited powerful interests, whether that's by increasing their profits, in the case of corporate interests, or increasing the ability to regulate in the case of governments around the world. This is a fantastic conversation. Both Max's organization and this channel have been accused of being conspiracy theories. So I want to make absolutely clear to you that I don't believe in conspiracy theories. It's not something that interests me. I'm interested in how power operates and whether or not there is a global collusion between different sets of powerful interests that prevent ordinary people from controlling their own lives. Let me know in the comments below if that interests you, and stay to the end of this video because you're going to be even more intelligent by the end of it.
Why was this beneficial to established entrenched power to have a population locked down? Well, number one, 2018, 2019 were years of global uprising, from Ecuador to Chile, where there was a campaign for a new constitution. Colombia saw massive protests and horrible repression. And then France, what was happening in France with the yellow vest was really shaking the European establishment. So with the lockdown, that was the end of that. And all protest was considered unauthorized throughout 2020. We saw brutal.
So like right away, the first thing was, you couldn't protest. And if you went out there, then even people that were your friends or family would be like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? So my point was, right away, I noticed that it seemed like it was so convenient that this happened at the same time where you had all of these people protesting things. You know what I'm saying? Like more than normal, like huge crowds, like all around the world, different countries. It would be perfect timing for a pandemic to come and tell everybody to go inside, sit down.
Yeah, well, based on what some people are saying, originally that was supposed to be just a test. It wasn't supposed to be the real thing, but it was working so well that they went on through it with it. They kept with the story, so it was supposed to be really like some kind of like a military protests that was going on, but like I said, I guess people was taking on with it so much. It's like, all right, all teams go. So, but yeah, I mean, I vaguely remember some of the stuff that was happening.
It's been so
What
long because of the pandemic, man. It's like it seemed like so long ago.
somewhat, yeah,
Man.
it does. It feels like a long time ago, but it also still, you know, still kind of near. But I'm still trying. Like like my brain is working now. Like I'm trying to remember what, because I mean, I remember we were going through some stuff too, just before that. Because isn't that like around the time of George Floyd, like when they were doing the Chauvin case or something, or um, what was happening right before that? Like like here.
Yeah, I think so. Something like that was it. But it wasn't like crazy riots like it was in China and freaking France and other
Well, but you
countries.
know what? I remember our news was playing it off that other people around the world was upset about the whole thing that was happening here.
Right. And that was the spin. That was the spin on it. Because we did earlier on when the Black Lives Matter thing really kicked off, it was people protesting around the world. But later on, no, I don't think so. They were just not trying to, because they didn't want to cover those stories. They were stories about, people not happy with the government, people, not happy with their living conditions and stuff like that. How legislations have been done. They don't
Well,
want. There's no good way to cover those stories. Oh,
well,
just
and we
lump it.
got we got to think too. Like there's a lot of well, I don't want to say like not dictators, but like presidents, people that was in office in these different countries in South America that got overthrown or there was a coup.
That too. That too.
So that was a lot of like I'm sure that's where a lot of the anger stemmed from, and it was a lot of them that was happening back to back. Like a lot of these people were not I believe that because they just wasn't conforming with
With the
either
governments that was
the
being
the glo-
placed on them, imposed
yeah.
on them. Let me play some more of this.
Repression that was justified, and you heard the phrase "COVIDiots" applied to those who dared to protest these restrictions or question the official lies spun out by people like Neil Ferguson, and accepted by Bojo, who is partying with his friends and violating all the lockdown orders. I mean, Neil Ferguson actually violated the lockdown order and went out to meet his lover. Yeah. So basically, that period of global revolt was shut down. Then you have the tech sector. They loved it. They loved it. Why? Because I mean, who cares? First of all, who cares about the poor children who don't get their free lunch at public school? Who cares if they're set back in their learning? Who cares if social isolation does more damage to a person than smoking 15 packs of cigarettes a day? Who cares about the suicides? Who cares about the fact that opioid deaths spiked by 50% in West Virginia? Who cares that opioid deaths disproportionately affected Black Americans between the ages of 30 and 45? I mean, who cares about any of those factors? For the tech sector, there is massive profits to be reaped when you keep people at home. That's why you saw Amazon stock actually plummet in July 2021 when the lockdowns began to end across the country. I mean, it was a boon for Jeff Bezos, a boon for Bill Gates. His fortune increased by tens of billions of dollars. The fortunes of the top 10 wealthiest people on the planet increased by something like 50%. So the IT revolution not only enabled these lockdowns and the Zoom sessions, remote working, remote schooling, but it actually encouraged it because the people who benefited from it actually profited as well. That also helps explain why large sectors of the Western left, and particularly the US left, supported it, because the US left is substantially comprised of the laptop class. I come from that. I am a laptop class trader because I oppose these lockdowns and other restrictions. But other people, they were living their best lives. I mean, they were getting a little bit of money. They're being paid to stay home. But before the pandemic, they were already staying home. They were already working on their laptops. So it basically legitimized their lifestyle and made it seem like this brave choice where somehow individual choices could save society. Meanwhile, the so-called frontline workers, who the laptop class has very little social contact with, they were bringing them their meals, their Amazon services, and they were out there getting COVID early on. And, you know, if they were young, they were generally not dying. The laptop class had to wait till Omicron to all get COVID. So that brings us to 2021, when the vaccines are introduced. The lockdowns have run their course. You can't keep kids out of school forever. And you can see the virus is moving from Delta, which attacks the lungs, was much more virulent, to Omicron, which was much milder and more transmissible. I mean, that's virology 101. That's the way it goes. So a new mechanism of control comes in, the vaccine passport. And once again, the plans for the vaccine passport had been put into, the blueprints had been laid well before the pandemic. I mean, there had been a plan for digital ID well before. The World Bank had ID 4D. It had invested over $1 billion into this concept of digital ID. Bill Gates had been pushing digital ID in India and Africa. And his pal, Nadeem Nilekhani, he is an Indian billionaire who runs something called Aadhaar, which is an ID system that has been tested on a majority of Indians. And basically you register your irises, your iris scans and your fingerprint scans, and that gives you access to government services. And we saw what happened in India as a result of large parts of a population being forced into this system of digital ID and total panopticon style control. In the province of Jharkhand, which is a poor rural province, in 2017, when the system started failing and backfiring, people were unable to access basic government subsidies like rice, and they were starving and dying because their retina scans were not working, because they didn't register with the locals, or there was a corrupt local authority. People were dying across Jharkhand. This was widely reported in Indian media. This is the population that figures like Bill Gates or the tech billionaire Piero Midyar want to target, because they're considered unbanked. In other words, they are, you know, rural populations of poor people in Africa or India who don't have credit. They're not in the credit system. They're not in debt. They're not paying with electronic payment systems, and they're not identified. And so by bringing them in to your system, you reap massive profits.
Comments. The idea of like the person starving to death because they can't get their retina scanned, that sounds scary as hell to me. You know, and the idea that they want to bring all these people into the system because they're not in it already, like the part about not having debt, you know, paying with cash, you know, we don't know who y'all are.
How about not having any cash at all? Like the barter system is probably still very big there.
Yeah. So they can't trace, track, or tax that shit.
Yeah. So there's kind of like a hold on, like what are we doing here? You know, like especially like the tech people, like I mean, because you know their biggest thing is making money, and
right. So they feel like they're missing money. All these people out there bartering and shit out there on the countryside. Hell nah, we need to get in on that. And if you don't,
but how does that, like, do they actually invest in the market there, or like how does that happen? Like, I mean, I'm sure most of those people probably be happy to have more of a system that, you know, that they can, you know, utilize. That's not you know, I mean, I'm sure there's still a bunch of farming. I mean, to some extent, they probably, you know, they're calling them poor people, but at the same time, the fact that they, you know, are surviving without all of that extra technology might say a lot more than we realize. Like they might be better off than a lot of us. but if
Yeah.
they're still trying to impose this whole technology thing without building up the, their market, I mean,
So
what's
it's
the
like
point?
if you're not a part of our system, then starve. You know, that's what it come down to. Join the
That's
system,
what it sounds
get
like.
some debt. Get you a credit card, get you a bank, or starve.
Well, I mean, that's the slavery. That's the new slavery anyway. Is debts? Everybody being debt slaves. You know, that's but
Yeah, that's what gets you to go to work. That's what I be saying all the time. It's your car note that makes you go to work.
I've
That's
been
what makes
thinking
you go to
about,
work.
and I've been thinking about getting me a something.
Yeah, yeah, that's how they get you. As soon as they put you in debt, and then it's something that you really want or you think you really want, and you're willing to go do whatever to what, take it up the wazoo. Let me play some more, just a bit more, because he starts rambling a bit right in here. Hold on, let me play it.
That's the target of all of this. And so with the rise of this, with the impetus for everyone to get vaccinated and this call to vaccinate the world, that provides momentum to identify the world and get the world into digital identity. And so you had the vaccine passport. The vaccine passport is unscientific because the COVID vaccines that were produced under emergency use authorization don't prevent transmission or infection. We can see that with double boosted Fauci getting it, double boosted Biden getting it, double boosted Jill Biden getting it. It doesn't, so it doesn't make sense to exclude people who are unvaccinated. It was first of all about control. That's why Novak Djokovic, the best tennis player in the world, is being excluded from the US Open because he's unvaccinated, whereas any unvaccinated American can walk across the US border from Tijuana or enter by airplane. It doesn't actually make sense. First, it's about control. It was also a way to break the social solidarity that we saw rise up during the Occupy movement and continue through 2019 by creating another false division within the 99% between the vaccinated and unvaccinated, and painting the unvaccinated, as in Joe Biden's words, people who will believe that they have the freedom to kill you, a massive public health threat, and then to demonize them as such. And in the mind of many people who supported Biden, people more to the left, the unvaccinated represent the figure of Trumpism and are right wing, when in fact, here in Washington, D.C., 40%, 50% of Black youth have not taken the COVID vaccine, and they will be prevented from going to school this year, according to Mayor Muriel Bowser, unless they do so. Everyone 12 or older has to do that. So it's also about coercion, intimidating people into accepting a government demand at the price of being socially excluded. So what does that amount to? It amounts to social credit, a kind of social credit system that conditions obedient behavior on your participation in society. It's something that should not be allowed in any democracy, but we have allowed it to come in through the pandemic restrictions and vaccine passports, and it will move to digital ID ultimately, as Bill Gates mapped out in his ID 2020 organization and agenda.
Well, did you enjoy?
What you think, man? Comments.
Well, he really hit a nerve when he talked about the whole the passports and the way that they demonize people who didn't take the shot or whatever. Like that hits home. Like I still have family members that I don't talk to. Mostly, well, they hadn't called me either, but you know, I'm usually the one who calls anyway, and I stopped it because I'm like, you're gonna treat me like shit, me or my son, because you think that you did something. And especially now, I'm like, okay, with all the proof that's out here, it's like it'll be more like I told you if I do see talk to him. So
It's so crazy how they had the people felt like they had the whole authority of the U.S. government behind them when they up in the grocery store telling you to put the mask on your face or some shit, or you should get jabbed. You know, it's anyways. Let me read some comments under this. The caption says, "What impact did COVID lockdowns have encountering the global uprising of 2018 and 2019? And with protests again occurring across the world, did the restrictions only delay the inevitable?" I spoke with Max Blumenthal from the Gray Zone about government reposes to the pandemic and the opportunities it presented them. Reposes? Government reposes? Let me read some comments. It says, "There's hardly anything more stupid and dangerous than putting important decisions in the hands of people who don't have to pay a price for being wrong." Woo. Ding, ding, ding. That goes with that story. I shared a story about the chick who had the wreck. She was a nurse. She was from Houston, and she had that wreck and it killed like 6 people. And now she's saying that she was crazy and she had a mental episode, and that's the whole reason. And it's like, that's the issue. She drove a Benz. There's a certain segment of our society that just feels like they don't have to be accountable to anything. Like, like they're never wrong. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I think it really sucks because we have like the police, people who feel like they're above the law, people who feel like they don't have to, abide by the law. The law's not for me; it's for y'all peons. The rules aren't for me; they're for y'all. Yeah, you're supposed to do that, not me. You. It's a huge segment of our society who really feels that way.
I do sometimes.
Let
I
me
ain't gonna
read.
lie.
Let me read some more. Because that's that American exceptionalism idea that they put in our head.
Well,
Let me read some
well,
more.
I mean, I think that like there's some people without any real reason. Because I mean, I still I still identify with people like myself, but at the same time, I mean, I do live by a different set of rules, and I'm at some point wishing them MF would try to do something, make me do something different. But you're gonna do what? Read some more what?
I'm
Some
gonna
more
read some more comments. It says Max was spot on his assessment. It's all about power and control over the people. Social distancing and isolation through fear and intimidation was a means to exert more power and control, while selectively enriching the key players at the top. Pure evil. Man.
Yeah. I mean, these people. I'm gonna tell you, bro. These are some masterminds, and because of the delay of the information, they utilize a lot of that to be able to impose their will on people, unsuspecting humans. I'm gonna say human because it didn't just happen here in America. This is something that happened worldwide. You know, so like it's an evil genius, I guess you can say.
Yeah, man, it's heavy. Let me read another comment. It says, "I can say firsthand what it was like to be treated as a spreader of disease and a risk to my fellow employees. I have worked for 14 years for a healthcare agency in Canada. My employer began taking steps to mandate vaccines. Even though we are unionized and this was not in the contract, we had 100 employees. There was 60-40 split in opinion, with 60 wanting to be vaccinated and 40 saying no thanks. People said they'll never make us, they can't force us. However, once the letters came out, the threats, the name calling, the ostracization, people who never wanted to be vaccinated succumbed. Only 4 out of 100 said no and walked away. I was put on an unpaid leave for misconduct, but I was good enough to work overtime throughout the height of the pandemic. This story is not unique. Unfortunately, what used to be a wonderful place to work is now filled with angry, sad, resentful people who can't really do their best work anymore. The residents suffer. The four of us who said no are all very happy and fulfilled. It was a tough adjustment, but I've never looked back. I'm so thankful to retain my autonomy. It's worth fighting for. It's my voice, my spirit, my being. It's my God given right. It's a wonderful gift. I don't understand how people can just let this be taken away and not give it any thought. We can't let them take any more control. Have a lovely day, everyone.
Yeah, I remember there was this guy. He's an older guy, and he's he's one of those that believed in the shot. And what I respected the most about him is that he's like, you know what, this is nonsense. Like, yeah, they gave me this card here that says, yeah, I've been, but you know what? He ripped it up right there on video. It's like, you know what? Yes, I've had my shots, but I do stick with people because I believe that everybody has a choice, and that's the part that I think that people are forgetting about. Uh, because some people are okay with losing their rights because they already don't have a life. Based on whatever they're doing. So, oh yeah, go ahead and take that right. I mean, we see it a lot where, as long as it doesn't truly affect them, it's okay. But then for others, they don't really care so much until that same type of thing it comes in a different you know costume, but now it affects them. So now they're in an uproar and they want you to be in an uproar with them. It's like, damn, bro, like I'm like you shat on me when what I'm saying. I'm asking you to, like, like I'm supporting you with what you would, if you want to do, you take the shot. But then you talked about slapping me in my face. That you was gonna hold me down and help them give me the shot if you had to. Like, what I'm saying? Like,
That's that control. Let me read some more comments. It says, I'm not interested in conspiracies. I'm interested in how power operates and whether or not there is a global collusion of sets of power interests that prevent ordinary people from controlling their own lives. Eloquently said, Russell, as always. Another comment, always believe your gut feeling. I kept saying something just wasn't right about the whole pandemic scenario, which was perfectly broken down in this video. I agree 100%. I worked through it all, elbow to elbow, with positive patience, and only caught the Rona a month ago. Strange world we living in. Very strange indeed.
yeah,
Um,
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Cause it's a scary thing, bro. Like, I'm gonna tell you, man. I had times where, like, where I was like, all right, you know what, because I'm responsible for another life than my own, my son, and I was like, all right, you know what, I'm just gonna go on and do it. But the way God spoke to me and showed me, like I would always get some information that was like, no, do not do it. You know what I'm saying? So I was on the verge because I'm like, okay, you know, how much I love my son. I'm not, gonna do anything that's gonna hurt him. But at the same time, like, okay, what do you do? You got the science that's saying it, but you got people in your life that's saying different things. So, like, it was a tough thing, bro. Like, I know, like, a lot of people, like, that's probably a lot of the depression too, is because it's like you got people that you love that's like now, like, look like you're nothing to them. Like, they would waste you in a minute. Like, if the war broke out and it's because of, whether it's, you're not even a black and white thing. This is like whether you are jabbed or unjabbed. Like, they will take you out, like, in like, no thought about it.
Yeah, well, imagine a dystopian future where there's like all these different diseases going around. And it's like you have a segment of society that takes all of the shots and takes all the pills, and then you have a section of society that doesn't. And so then, like, imagine what it would be like, because the official word would be like take the pills and take the jabs, and then So then you'd have these people who would be like living underground and running from the cops and like living you know, a unliving life, not really
Pretty,
living, just struggling, just running and hiding like some rats.
yeah, I mean, I guess it could. I mean, I guess it could get to that. I mean, hopefully, I mean, that's not something that we'll see, you know, and especially for that reason. But um, yeah, I mean, that's really something to think about because, like, this has shown me, like, it's not like I didn't know before, but like how fickle people are, and you don't know what's really gonna make that person flip on you.
Hey, check this comment out. It says, I'd say it's a test to see how far the people can be pushed without repercussions. They want control.
Oh my God. I've said that so many times. It's just like, I mean, because it is. I mean, because like it was a test. This was a training maneuver, or like to see how to respond in situations like this. And it's like they really were pushing to see how far they could go with certain things. Like they were testing the waters. Like, all right, well, go tell them this. This is get every news station is gonna come out with this same thing, and everybody's gonna be saying it. And now, like we're gonna have our zombie robots out there. Like, shoot, they act like the cops. Uh,
Yep. Let me read this comment. This is heavy-winded, long-winded. Let me read this. It says, very well said. There are important points are addressed here. The pandemic has indeed was a great opportunity worldwide to shut down opposition dissidents, to redistribute wealth from ones who have little to ones who had very already much. It was also convenient to gain more control about people. Vaccine passports, tracking apps, for example. Some, of course, liked that it provided a way to reduce immigration. Some liked to work at home in beautiful houses, having their kids taught by expensive. The popularity of tough leaders is always bigger than the ones who caution from side effects. This also works in wars. Leaders who walked their people into wars were often cheered on. Of course, the ones who made decisions had no problems themselves. They would have no idea what it means for many to be locked into small, dark apartments without job, about how much conflict, stress, and desperation this produced. One can still see this now in China, what effect these measures can have on the population. Collateral damage effects will still have to be assessed. Worldwide famine, illness increased because to economic downturns also affect healthcare systems. Possible collapse of economies need to be taken into account. Such problems were predicted by economists early on, but they were ridiculed. The argument has been life is important than economic stability, completely ignoring that life and economic prosperity are related. A breakdown of economies historically have often has led to war, famine, genocides. The damage of the pandemic measures are already a multiple of actual damage which the cause itself has produced. That was hard to read. His writing was a bit jumbled. Um, Let me see something. Do I have another one on Insta that I wanted to cover? Money, people, Houston mass shooting. Oh yeah, let me go back to this.
Houston mass shooting.
Well, they calling it. It's funny how you could just call anything a mass shooting. It's like more than two people, I think. But this one is interesting. But before I get to that, let me read this right here. Oh wait, let me share this. Let me make sure I'm sharing. Oh, I'm sharing. Okay. It says capitalism is religion, banks are churches, bankers are priests, wealth is heaven, poverty is hell, rich people are saints, poor people are sinners, commodities are blessings, money is God. So the overall point is that people worship money, and then, you know, let me read it again. Capitalism is religion. Banks are churches. Bankers are priests. Wealth is heaven. Poverty is hell. Rich people are saints. Poor people are sinners. Commodities are blessings. Money is God. And the thing is, I mean, like, this may sound crazy just saying this, but people back this up every day with the things that they say. They back this up over and over and over and over again. It's crazy. One of the main parts of this that's the craziest to me is how people feel that people with money are somehow better than people who don't have money. Like they are like more, you know, righteous. They're more good. They're more, I don't know. They're just, you know, better.
No, well, I mean, I just say they're better at getting it. But you know, I can't speak for everybody, but for me, you know, I kind of, I mean, I don't really look at it the same way. You know that okay, like because you have money, you're worshiping money. You know, like that's just not like that's really an unhealthy way to really look at it. But I can't say that that's not the case for some people. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like,
but that's not what they're saying in this. It's and then with society, like I say, the stuff people say upholds this stuff every day. You know, it,
okay, but it, you said upholds it, but I'm just looking at it like okay, what percentage of people is this? Is this you know? Do you think that this is the majority? I mean, because most people are poor, so like I mean, are the majority of people really worshiping money?
yes, they are. Even the poor ones. The poor ones more than the ones with money.
Well, they might no, they might be trying to find their way into getting it, but if they're, I mean, how can if you don't really have it, how are you worshiping it?
Because you've been trained and programmed to think that way. In God we trust. It's written on the money.
I guess, bro. Like I don't have the energy to fight on that one. That's just it is what it is. I can't fight for people that I don't know.
Yeah, they've been trained to think that way. Okay, this one is Houston mass shooting site. Landlord uses dogs instead of eviction notices to get tenants to leave. Oh wait, I didn't explain this. Did I cover this in the other show? Did I cover this in the other show? I covered this somewhere. Where the hell? Hold on, I think it's on my page. I guess I thought I covered this in the show, but I guess I didn't because I've been talking about this already. So that's what it is. I get confused about what I talked about on the show and what I talked about somewhere else.
Yeah.
Um, Here it is. Let me show this. It says 4 dead in Houston mass shooting after evicted tenant set fire, lured neighbors into ambush. So it says a longtime tenant facing eviction started several fires at his Southwest Houston housing complex early Sunday and then shot at residents as they fled the blazes, killing 3 before authorities fatally shot him, police said. The gunman, possibly in his 50s, laid wait around 1 a.m. in the 800 block of Dunlap. It says, it's not a good morning, Houston Police Chief Troy Finner said. This suspect, unfortunately, very sadly and very evilly set fire to several residences, laid wait for the residents to come out and fired upon them. Firefighters had to take cover as they arrived to fight the blaze amid the mass shooting. Police spotted the shooter dressed in all black with a shotgun and killed him, authorities said. Officials have not publicly identified the shooter, but the building's owner, Tony Mercurio, said he was a 9-year tenant who had not caused prior problems. The Harris County Appraisal District lists the property at 8021 Dunlap as mixed residential commercial structure appraised at $295,000, built in 1955. The 3,663 square foot structure has been reconfigured as connected apartments. Built in 1955. Oh shit, did I fuck up? I fucked up. Hold on, y'all. I know it's another part to this. Hold on. The owner said the shooter had stopped paying rent in the last few months. They had asked him to leave the property, though they had not filed eviction proceedings. Mercurio stopped by Sunday morning to get the keys, and he said the tenant handed him them over without an issue. He told Mercurio he had a few more boxes to pack up and then he would leave. The shooter had a criminal history, including aggravated assault with a deadly weapon in 1997. He had not been arrested since a drug charge in 2008, according to public records. Two victims thought to be in their 60s died at the scene, and one victim in his 40s died at the hospital. Another person was taken to the hospital with gunshot wounds in his arm. Among the victims was the building's property manager, who had worked with Mercurio since 1989, he said. He described the man, Donald Lee Hall, as a wonderful, wonderful guy who was well liked by residents. He'd give you the shirt off his back. That's the kind of guy he was, Mercurio said. I was known as his uncle. It says, one neighbor said the shooter had colon cancer, was behind on his rent, and didn't have a job. Let me read a little bit more. It says something must have hit him in the last couple of days really hard to where he just didn't care, neighbor Robin Aaron said. And that's why he did what he did. Nothing else you can really do when you are at that point. Aarons, who has lived in the complex 15 years in a quiet industrial area, was getting ready for work when he heard what he thought were fireworks. So, like, the reason why I cover this story is because, like, what I posted, I said this is a story of desperation. So, like, they're not focusing on the part where, first off, let me go back to where they said he was a criminal, and he's like, he did something back in 1997, assault with a deadly weapon in 97, and he was arrested for drug charge for 2008. This guy doesn't sound like a freaking criminal, bro. 1997. Yeah, that was aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Who knows what that was? But it was way back in '97. Not this dude does not sound like a criminal at all. It's
That's what
2020. It's
30 years
2022.
ago.
Yeah, it's 2022, bro. Come on. And so the other part is, it said he had colon cancer, and he didn't have a job, and he got evicted. You know, it's like, I'm not justifying what this guy did. What he did was horrible. Okay. And then there's another part where it says one of the victims was the property manager. So it sounds like to me that that's where, this dude was hurt, he going through it, you know, and they were like, okay, well, get out. So he taking his anger out on the property manager and I guess his neighbors, I guess, but I'm sure he was going for the, property manager. But it's like, what I'm saying is that, like, the desperation of people, like, there's more evictions that's happening now. It's a lot of this going on. This is the other side of inflation that they're talking about inflation. Gas costs a lot, the food costs a lot, da 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 da. As a result, a lot of people have been living on the edge, check to check, check to check, check to check. The damn cost of gas, the cost of the food just put them out of a fucking place to live. You know? So this is the part of the story that I think should be focused on, what drove this, anger and this reaction for this, for this shooting, you know, what can be done about it? How many other people are going through this? Are we going to see more stuff like this?
Probably because it's like, you got people that's been busting their ass, working for years, doing everything the right way, at least trying to do that. They're doing their best to live the right way. They already don't get jobs that pay what it should pay for a grown man to live. Like, I don't know. I mean, there's people turning up all over the world, bro. Like, at some point, I'm assuming it's gonna be here. I'm not, like I said, I hear different things, but it's not, some of those things I can't really say it's true, 100%. If it was like if I could say that, but there's things that's already brewing.
That's why I
Like
covered this. Like this dude was at the end of his rope. He set fire to the building and popped. He was like, I'm finna go anyways. He like, I got colon cancer. How the fuck I'm gonna pay for my medicines and shit? Like, I'm fucking finna die. Like this
yeah,
eviction is my death. So he's like, whatever, man. I'm finna go. I'm gonna take some people with me, and I'm not saying it's right,
like that, like they're trying to
but
kill. No, but I'm just, like, I mean, when you in that type state of mind, you feel like wait a minute, these people are trying to kill me, or because I mean most people who if you're a deep thinker, you know that all these things will conspire, and that's a fact. That's not a theory. There's no way you get to this point with all of this without
like
a lot of
somebody has it out for me. Like, goddamn, like, can I get a fucking break? And so, like I say, not justifying his actions, but what I'm saying is we need to recognize this as for what it is, because he's not the only one. Can we say thousands, maybe tens of thousands, maybe millions of others
I would
in
say I would say millions right here in this country, multi-million.
of people who are in a similar boat with this guy who may
Hmm.
may react in that same way.
Yeah, if we looking at state to state, yeah, we can say you know thousands, hundreds of thousands, but we really looking at millions all over and we're talking about just the United States. I mean, there's probably because I mean, like in Europe, a lot of those people, shit, they good. You know what I'm saying? The United States, which is supposed to be the cream of the crop,
Yep.
it's no.
Well, this is the other story that I mentioned earlier because it was on my mind and I didn't know if I had covered it, but let me read this. It says Houston nurse charged with killing 6 in LA crash was in mental health crisis, may have lost consciousness. Like, I don't know if you guys heard about this story because it was really viral though. So I figured that y'all would, but I'm gonna this is kind of a follow-up to it. It's the main story was her having the wreck and she lived through it. 6 people died. I think it was a kid, a pregnant woman. She was going like over 100 through a red light that was a long red light. It was red forever. Damn car caught fire and shit. Looked like a damn rocket.
Her car caught fire.
Yes.
Wow.
Um Let me see. May have lost consciousness. Nicole Linton struggled with mental health and displayed increasingly frightened behavior before the collision, her attorney says. So that's what her attorney says. Los Angeles County District Attorney George Gaxton announced on August 8 in a press conference that Nicole Lorraine Linton, a nurse from Houston, will be charged with 6 counts of murder for the Windsor Hills crash. So this is what's going on. So she's trying to get off on this. So this is her argument. Let me read this. It says, Houston nurse Nicole Linton suffered from bipolar disorder, had struggled to find effective treatment for her mental illness for years, and was suffering an acute mental breakdown when she caused a fiery, deadly crash in a crowded Los Angeles intersection earlier this month, according to medical records that were a part of court. The records detail Linton's 4-year struggle with bipolar disorder that preceded her August 4th crash that killed 5 people, including a pregnant woman whose unborn fetus did not survive. According to the records, doctors assessed Linton, 37, just after the incident, determined that she suffered an apparent lapse of consciousness at the time of the crash. She has no recollection of the events that led to her collision, Dr. William Winter, who treated Linton after the crash, wrote on August 6th. The next thing she recalled was lying on the pavement and seeing that her car was on fire. Authorities say Linton was driving her black Mercedes-Benz sedan around 90 miles per hour when she entered an intersection where the light had been red for 9 seconds. Her car slammed into several others and caught fire. The LA County District Attorney has charged Linton with 6 counts of murder, which includes the fetus. She is also facing 5 counts of manslaughter. Linton's lawyer said her family became aware of her mental health problems more than 4 years ago when she was studying to be a nurse anesthetist at the University of Texas at Houston, the LA Times reported. The stress was too much for her and it broke her, Nicole Linton's sisters, Camille Linton, wrote in a letter to the court, thus beginning the journey of Nicole's 4-year struggle with mental illness. In May 2018, Linton suffered her first mental breakdown during which she leaped into a police car in the throes of a panic attack and was arrested for disorderly conduct. She was committed to the psychiatric unit where she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and prescribed medication, according to the LA Times. Linton struggled to manage her mental health in the years that followed. She was involuntarily committed to a psychiatric hospital roughly a year after her diagnosis. And eventually stopped taking her medication during the pandemic, which her family said in court filings caused her mental health to further deteriorate. Linton's attorney said that in the days and hours leading up to the events of August 4th, Nicole's behavior became increasingly frightening. The afternoon of the crash, Linton FaceTimed her sister completely naked during her lunch break. Caused the deadly crash during her drive back to the hospital around 1:30 p.m. Linton suffered injuries from the crash and has been navigating jail in California in a wheelchair since her arrest. Ms. Linton will be most appropriately housed in a mental health treatment facility where she can be monitored and treated for her illness, attorney Halem Nadina and Jacqueline Sparanga wrote in the Monday court filing. She remains in jail on a $300,000 bond as of Wednesday. So what do you think?
I mean, I mean, what can you do? I mean,
I'm calling bullshit. I'm calling bullshit on this. And no offense to people who struggle with mental health, because I talk about it all the time, and it's a real thing. It is a real thing that people suffer from. But I don't think that was the case with this one. I think this lady was she was angry, and that's what it was. And it's like these people, they're angry and they feel like it doesn't matter. They totally disregard other people's life and health and safety because of their own personal whatever the hell they're going through, because it's like they feel like the other people around them aren't alive, like, their lives don't matter. That's the kind of person I think this was. And I think that she has money and she's using it to spend on good lawyers, and they're doing their job. What do you think?
Well, I guess my question was more so about how did her car get on fire? Like, did she set it on fire?
No, it was just a wreck. She was going really fast. The video is out there. It's viral as hell.
I thought you were saying like there was a fire before the wreck, but okay, it was after the wreck is when the fire started.
Right. She hit something and her car caught. It's probably because, who knows? She was going really fast. She hit like, I don't know how many cars going like 100 miles an hour through an intersection. Didn't slow down, didn't brake, nothing. She was freaking. I think the lady, okay, the thing is, I hate when people when they say shit like, okay, well, I'm bipolar or whatever, and then they're like in a conversation or whatever, like, and it's like, it's really crazy how our society makes this like it's cool or something, like I'm proud of it, like I'm bipolar, but the thing is, they're not. They're just saying that. They've never been diagnosed with this. They're just saying that. You know what I mean? And it's like, people really do have mental health issues. It's a real thing that happens. And then people that have mental health issues are not going to be the ones that's going to be wearing it like a badge. They're not going to be like, proud of it or whatever. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's not how that works at all. It's a thing that they'd rather not. If they have to, share that information, they will. But if they don't, they're not. So, but then you got these people walking around pretending that they are, or whatever. That bothers me, because there really are people out here with mental health issues. So the thing is, like I say, but if you have money, and you're a smart enough person, and you end up in a situation like this, then this would be your best, especially if you have a prior type of situations that has happened. This is your best defense to get a softer fucking, that's using the system, gaming the system. I mean, you can't. I'm not judging nobody for that. I mean, you do what you got to do. Try to get off or whatever. But what I feel like is these kind of people who they feel like they don't deserve accountability. Like I was saying earlier, they feel like they're above others. They feel like they don't have to follow the rules of others, and other people's lives don't matter as much as theirs.
Yeah.
That's what I see in this story. I mean, I could be wrong. This is me. This is my, perception.
Assessment.
That's why I covered it. That's why I shared it, because it really kind of made me angry, because I saw the original story. It went really, really viral. The video is viral. The story is really viral. The wreck. And that's part of the reason why she's getting the book thrown at her, and they're charging her with like murder 6 times and stuff. Like that's kind of extra, because a lot of times in these kind of situations, the charge is not gonna. It's gonna be involuntary manslaughter, vehicular manslaughter, some shit like that. Isn't that, they're charging her murder. But then at the same time, even though like it's, let's say, politicized or whatever, because it's all, it went viral, but at the same time, then there's a reason why they're feeling that way. It's a reason why they feeling like she was being, when you charge somebody with murder, it's because you feel like they had total disregard for the other person's life.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm sure there's something there, because I mean, based on what I'm, hearing, and the assumption, your assumption, and or whatever, it's just so. Yeah, is she attempted, because they didn't all die, right? Did anybody die?
What do you mean? It was six people with the fetus died in the wreck. She didn't die. Somehow she lived.
Well, you said it was fetus.
Yeah, it was a woman that was pregnant who died
She
in the wreck.
died.
Yeah, these are random. See, that's why this is. There's no way to protect yourself from this. This is why it bothers me, because you're just going along your life. You are just doing, whatever, going to the grocery store, whatever the hell it is these people were doing, picking their kids up from school, or whatever the hell it was, and they're just, moseying on through the light. The light is long time red, like you got a long time green. Multiple cars, some cars made it through the intersection before this lady came flying through there at like 100 miles an hour. That's what happened.
Yeah, that's wild.
And how do you protect yourself from something like that? You believe in God. You believe in God. You feel like God protects you. You go through your life and you do things right. You don't go around shooting and trying to kill and rape people. So you feel like, you should be all right. Ain't nobody going to try to do harm to me, because I haven't done any harm to nobody. I'm driving through the light. This person that has disregard for life comes through there, and now my life is gone.
Yeah, but somebody on foot has a better chance than somebody that's actually driving.
Yeah. So I don't know. That was kind of emotional. I have some other stuff for y'all. I kind of want to do some more Russell Brand, just cause. Oh yeah, because I mentioned earlier about how the other ways people are passing. I don't know if it was in this or if it was Democracy Now. I have to cover this since I mentioned it. If he doesn't talk about it in here, I gotta play. I think it's if it's not in here, it's in Democracy Now about the life expectancy. Let me play this. Am I sharing? No, I'm not sharing. Yeah, the life expectancy going down. Like besides COVID. But let me play this.
Lockdowns are killing more people than they're saving. If this is true, why the hell did we part with them? Faith in the government, lost faith in the media, lost faith in big pharma, started to question some of the narratives that were emerging around the coronavirus pandemic. It was a time of division, a time of conspiracy, a time of blaming the unvaccinated, a time where medical professionals lost their jobs because they refused to get vaccinated. A lot of people had questions about the lockdowns. What are the impacts on business? What are the impacts on other health conditions? Well, a new study suggests that more people are dying as a result of the lockdowns than were saved by potentially not being exposed to the coronavirus pandemic. Let's get into it. This is from the Daily Telegraph, which is a type of newspaper. The effects of lockdown may now be killing more people than are dying of COVID, official statistics suggest. Figures for excess death from the Office of National Statistics. God, can you imagine a more boring place to work? You're in an office. What are we doing? Statistics. Are they official? Yeah. Oh, God, kill me now. Well, we probably will. Office of National Statistics, or ONS, show that around 1,000 more people than usual are currently dying each week from conditions other than the virus. The Telegraph understands that the Department of Health has ordered an investigation into the figures amid concerns that the deaths are linked to delays to and deferment of treatment for conditions such as cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. Do you remember at the advent of COVID, how some people said, hold on a minute, if you lock everyone up, what about the financial and economic impact, the impact on mental health and people with existing conditions like cancer, diabetes, heart disease, not to mention the inability to discuss whether or not we should be living healthier lifestyles, eating more healthily. All these things were kind of consigned to the bin or trash can marked conspiracy theory. But it turns out that these are important and relevant discussions that ought to have been had. Over the past 2 months, the number of excess deaths not from COVID dwarfs the number linked to the virus. Figures suggest that the country, that's the UK, a type of country with a queen in it, is facing a new silent health crisis linked to the pandemic response rather than to the virus itself. If the cure is worse than the disease, ought we re-examine our policies? Dr. Charles Levinson, the chief executive of Doctor Call, a private GP service, said his company was seeing far too many cases of undetected cancers and cardiac problems, as well as disturbing numbers of mental health conditions. Anecdotally, as a person in recovery from addiction, I can tell you that alcoholism and addiction and self-harm and all of those kind of addiction-related and mental health conditions are definitely being negatively impacted. Let us know in the comments below if your mental health has suffered, if you know someone whose health condition has been affected, if you know someone that's having cancer treatments, diabetes treatments, heart condition treatments has been negatively affected by the lockdown process. Hundreds and hundreds of people dying every week. What's going on? He said. Well, you've just told us they're dying. It's on a weekly basis. Delays in seeking and receiving healthcare are no doubt the driving force, in my view. Daily COVID statistics demanded the nation's attention, yet these terrifying figures barely get a look in. A full and urgent government investigation is required immediately. It seems that most of the solutions were offered were either profitable or advanced the ability of governments to impose regulation. Since the beginning of June, the ONS has recorded nearly 10,000 more deaths than the 5-year average, around 1,089 a week, none of which are linked to COVID. The figure is more than 3 times the number of people who died because of the virus over the same period, which stood at 2,811. Even analysis that takes into account aging population changes has identified a substantial ongoing excess. Questioned by the Telegraph, the Department of Health admitted it had asked the Office for Health Improvement and Disparities to look into the figures and had discovered that the majority were linked to largely preventable heart and stroke and diabetes related conditions. Heart conditions and diabetes that are probably caused by eating processed foods, poor diet, not getting correct information about exercise. Sometimes don't you feel that you're on a conveyor belt of ill health and bad information, sort of bred like a veal calf to ultimately be consumed by an ever-devouring system, kept unhealthy, kept ignorant, kept locked down when it's convenient? Don't you sometimes feel that the institutions that are charged with your health, that are charged with your care, are not reliable? Let me know in the comments below.
What do you think? Comments. That part right there. It's like, don't you feel like he's like, it's like, what is it, like the chicken or the egg? It's like the snake eating its tail. It's like the problem is the answer is the problem, type of shit. Like like it's funny how this whole thing happened and we never had a conversation about diet and exercise. Like 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 what else could we talk about? Like, you know what I mean? Like that should have been the main thing. Like we talked about getting jabs, we talked about masks, we talked about sanitizer and washing hands. We didn't talk about diet or exercise at all. Like we're talking about health, but we're not talking about diet and exercise. Just leave that part out. And then it's like they're talking about the people who passed, who died, preventable heart stuff, diabetes stuff. And then he's like, that probably caused by the bad diet and no exercise. It's what I'm saying is the damn loop keeps going. It's like I, I could I work more longer hours so I can make more money, so I can buy more crack, so that I can work more longer hours, so I can make more money, so I can buy more crack.
In February, a study revealed that lockdowns prevented just 0.2% of deaths in comparison with simply trusting people to do the right thing. What this data suggests is that the lockdown mandates were illegitimate. It makes you query what other mandated measures were illegitimate, on whether or not there's need for a discussion and maybe even a reversal of some of the decisions to sack medical professionals that didn't want to take certain health precautions. And certainly it seems necessary to redress some of the certainty and condemnation that was leveled at people that didn't want to go along with the existing narrative. And this is just a recounting of measurable, accountable, statistical deaths. This doesn't enter into the people that have lost their jobs, the people that are living in despair, the entropy, atrophy, and breakdown of cultures and society, the general sense that things aren't working. These things are more difficult to measure, but I know that you're feeling them because I'm feeling them as well. Researchers from Johns Hopkins University in the US, Lund University in Sweden, and the Centre for Political Studies in Denmark said the cost to society far outweighed the benefits. The team even found that some lockdown measures may have increased deaths. We do find some evidence that limiting gatherings was counterproductive and increased COVID-19 mortality, the authors concluded. Maybe that's why politicians the world over continue to have parties and gatherings at their leisure. Often lockdowns have limited people's access to safe outdoor places such as beaches, parks and zoos, or included outdoor mask mandates or strict outdoor gathering restrictions, pushing people to meet at less safe indoor places. These measures were often enforced literally by the police. Let me know in the comments below if you were ever moved along by a megaphone, if you were ever told that you couldn't meet in a park. I know there's people I work with that were driven out of parks by police vans in order to preserve a lockdown that we're now beginning to see was not effective and maybe even literally detrimental. Jonas Herby, a special advisor at the Centre for Political Studies and one of the study's authors, told The Telegraph, when we look at lockdown, we don't find much of an effect. We think that most people don't want to get sick or infect their neighbours. So if you just give people the proper knowledge, they do the right thing to take care of themselves and others. And that's why lockdowns don't work. More generally, one of the problems that I've had with our systems of government and state control is the assumption of misanthropy at the heart, that people are ugly, that people won't look after themselves, that people won't take care of one another, that what's required are systems of enforcement in order for people to behave kindly to one another. It's this assumption that I object to most, and it's this assumption that we saw play out throughout the pandemic. Regulations where advice would have been sufficient. This is what we have found. There seems to be an airborne virus. If you love people, you might want to protect them. Instead of that, in countries like Australia, we saw internment camps opening. In Canada, truck drivers had to take to the street. All over the world, health professionals lost their jobs. The unvaccinated were condemned. I'm not advocating any conspiracy theories if what you mean by conspiracy theories, unsubstantiated ideas that can't be proven. But when you see the mandates and regulations that were pushed by the state, by big pharma, by big business, by the media, breaking down under study and being demonstrably unhelpful, then there is at least room for a conversation and possibly room for condemnation of these measures and those that were behind them. In general, we should trust that people can make the right decisions. So the key thing is to educate them and tell them when the infection rates are high and when it's dangerous to go out and how to protect yourself. One possible reason lockdowns seem ineffective is that some measures are counterproductive. There is some evidence that putting limits on gatherings actually increase the number of deaths. One of the studies cited in the review found that voluntary behavioural changes are 10 times as important as mandatory behavioural changes in combating COVID. Put simply, people voluntarily observing sensible precautions is more effective than state control. You can see that the advantage in increasing state control is that you're giving more power to the establishment. You're granting more opportunity in the future for further regulations. You're introducing new ideas. You're priming a population for new conditions. You remember that footage of China, cats in bags, people screaming in towers. You remember at the beginning of lockdown, people saying, oh, they won't be able to do what they've done in China, a state tyranny in countries like France and England and America and Denmark. But actually, people were incredibly compliant. Why? Because at the beginning of the lockdown, people were concerned and frightened and, generally speaking, want to help one another. I feel that these kind of optimistic ideas ought to be at the heart of the way we organise society. I'm not naive. I've been alive a long time. I've suffered. I've caused suffering. I'm an ordinary human being. But building systems of government on misanthropy and mistrust simply to increase a government's ability to control seems to me to be malfeasance. Countries such as
So, like, all you got to do is educate the people and give them the data and then give them recommendations. But they don't want to do that. That takes too much work, and that's too much like right. And it's like, the part about educating people is the part they really don't want to do, and then they don't want to give you all the data. But the main thing is they don't want to educate you. They want people to be, even the people that are educated are stuck in their little bubbles of their their competencies, their specialties, they, our education system doesn't educate people to understand everything that's going on. Like, I saw a post where this lady said, she said there was a guy and he had a master's degree or a PhD in economics. He had let's say a PhD in economics, this guy. And then he asked her, how do girls pee with tampons in? And then she said, that's the reason why you shouldn't have men in charge of women's health. And that illustrates everything. It's like so much of ignorance, basically, pervasive ignorance, like extreme ignorance, but they don't need to know that, right? They don't need to know that stuff. So I guess that's what, just focus on what you need to know to make money for your job or whatever, and everything else just, that's not really important, and on your spare time, just watch TV.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Let
me see. I think I want to read some comments. The caption says, as we discover that the effects of the lockdown may now be killing more people than are dying of COVID, can we add lockdowns to the list of legitimate mandates that we were right about all along?
Well, there's a lot of lawsuits going on now.
Yep.
About those mandates.
And the people that lost their jobs and stuff. Let me read some comments. It says, one of the most shocking revelations I experienced during the pandemic was the willingness and ability of close, long-term friends to completely cancel out and cast aside anyone whose opinions on vaccines and mandates were different to theirs. Nothing in my lifetime has ever been so divisive and powerful enough to turn friends into enemies and to break apart families. Man, I think that was the point. It's like Pinocchio or whatever. It's like what do you call it? Puppets. How much can we just completely puppet these people? Like, are they gonna just can we control their arms and legs? And they're gonna say, I'm a real boy.
Well, they did the real gangster shit. They went for controlling their damn mind. You ain't gotta worry about putting a battery in their back. You don't. Shoot, you got their mind all messed up with this information, that information, blah blah blah. That's it after that.
Let me read some more. It says, I own and operate a 78-bed assisted living facility in California. During the lockdowns in 2020, 2021, no visitors were allowed in the building for many months, not even family members. They could wave at the window but not come in. We watched the devastating psychological effects this had on 90-year-old residents being deprived of social contact and stimulus from their own families. Over time, we saw the psychological damage affecting the residents' physical health as well. Some of them passed away, not from COVID, but from social deprivation. I don't need to hear arguments supporting lockdowns. I've watched the very real effects up close and in person.
Yeah, that's gotta be sad. But who came up with the? My thing is like, was it always that way? The rules of people coming by and waving at the door, or that's something
Yeah.
they began after something they began afterwards.
Yeah, that's what they started doing because of the
COVID.
yeah. Let me read some more. It says, yeah, I know someone who's been affected. It's me. Since lockdowns and COVID started, I have lost nearly all my relationships with other people, all people. I refused the vaccine and I have lost my entire life and my future. I doubt anyone will read this, but I greatly appreciate everything you're trying to do here, Mr. Brand. Sadly for me, everything feels hollow and meaningless now. I have no goals and no hope. Damn, this dude about to make me cry. I know a lot of people, stood on their square and lost a lot as a result of this.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess some of these people are also people who are already not ambitious to begin with. So I mean, that's what it sounds like with this guy. But I mean, I don't feel, uh, any less, you know, bad for him because I mean, he's in a messed up, mind state. You know what I'm saying? Period.
Yes, that's what I mean. I really feel for this guy. So where he's at mentally is really fucked. And a lot of people are, how many other, just like we were saying earlier, the guy who fucking shoot the people coming out of the house, that's the same place that this guy is at mentally. Shit. Don't tell him what the hell he might do. Or she. Let me read another comment. It says, I remember initially following along with the safety protocols up until early summer 2020. What really burned me up was when I went to a 50-acre park and found it had been roped off, closed. I went anyway with my kids and dogs. I thought, screw them. They allowed the liquor stores to remain open as essential, but fresh air at an enormous park was dangerous and off limits, right? Crazy. And then they were talking about in this video how them making the people go inside made the infection spread more because the people were all cuddled up close to each other and probably snotting and sneezing and spitting on each other. Let me read
Well,
another comment.
I'm sure the mask probably caused more issues too.
That
You know.
yeah, it's you spitting all in that thing and sneezing all in it, and you touching it with your hands, and now you spreading that around. And just the whole idea of when they started saying the cloth mask, that's when I was like, okay, that's when I knew right there. Because when they couldn't come up, they didn't have enough the mask, the N95 mask, they didn't have enough of them, and they was like, okay, just use a cloth mask. And I was like, okay, now, okay, I'm not no microbiologist. I'm not no professional. I'm not, I'm not the expert. But I know this cloth mask is not gonna stop.
I am the high science, the high common sense scientist. So like some things, it don't take being wise. Like it just takes just a little bit of thought.
Cause what about surgery? If you was in surgery and your doctor just put like a bandana on or something, or a cloth mask, you'd be like, "What the fuck?"
Like, are you okay, Doc? Y'all ran out of the little blue ones that you know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't know. Those little surgery masks ain't shit. Anyways, the blue ones that they had us putting on, that shit wasn't doing shit either. But those ones that cover the whole
well,
nose and mouth, and they have the filter. It's an actual filter, but you can't barely breathe through them motherfuckers, like for shit. But they are actually filtering out whatever the hell, like the cloth mask ain't doing nothing, man. You can, it's not doing nothing. It ain't doing nothing but cutting your
well,
oxygen,
I'm gonna
breathing in
tell
your
you
breath.
because, and I'm not sure how strong this was for me, but because I wore the bandanas, different little cloth masks and stuff. But I also used to put that colloidal silver on my mask, you know, at the entry point, around my nose and mouth, and, just
Yeah.
I don't know how much that actually might could have helped or whatever, but
Yeah. And why they wasn't talking about making your immune system healthy immune system? Why they wasn't talking about that?
oh no, yeah, I mean, what like it's like they had it going too good, like, and then they making billions of dollars, like they made like record breaking numbers.
And what's the name? One of them, Moderna, is suing Pfizer now because they say Pfizer used some of their freaking
Technology.
technology or whatever, and to produce their vaccine or whatever. And so like somebody said, it's so funny how they're fighting over which one gets to you know rape us the hardest or whatever. It's kind of like damn, I shouldn't use that word, but y'all get what I mean. you know and then the other part of it is the billions of dollars that was used for taxpayer money to even do the research for these technologies. We should own them anyways. The people, they
Um,
turn around and just charge us for it.
yeah, and well, the government like that was the first thing where the government freaking paid them for it. It's like, oh well, these dummies is gonna get the shot, and we're gonna just go ahead and pay for it, but we'll see some money on the other end because we're
This episode
highly invested,
Go ahead.
highly invested in um those companies, like the people, a lot of the shoot. You think what's the chick that's getting Pelosi? You think she wasn't invested in some one at least one of those that was the Moderna or the Pfizer or whoever? Like you best believe they were invested in those companies. So
Yeah, they already knew off top like what was gonna happen. That's why this shit is not fair.
and a bunch of and from what I hear, a bunch of them was about to retire. Well, I mean, I say retire, but like they were on the verge of bankruptcy and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know
So
about that, but they always know the inside what's gonna happen. So if you knew some inside information, would you not use that to your advantage related to investments if you was able?
um. I mean, me personally, I mean, I'm sure I would, but you know,
Any rational
I'm,
thinking
I,
person would.
but at the same time, I'm not changing laws and doing this, that, and the other at the same time to make these different things happen. Like I'm not shutting off a life support for another company that could be in the same field for another company to be able to grow. Like that's where the real like the real issue is, because you're changing policy or going against something that could be good for the people in order to be able to
Well, they
be able
stacked the
to.
deck. They stacked the deck for whoever, and it might be for a favor. It's all complex. It could be. It could have been a favor. Wash my hand. Wash your hand. Rub my hand back, and I rub yours, type of thing. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? But it's gonna be it's gonna be a stack the deck type of deal, where like the chip deal that they did recently. So a specific company is benefiting from. Well, there's multiple companies that's benefiting from it, but there's specific companies that's benefiting from this legislation, and it's taxpayer money that's going to this shit. They're crying about the student loans and the money going back to, these are actual citizens. The money for the chips is, there's portions of it going to Taiwan. These people ain't got nothing to do with America, United States citizens, nothing. What the fuck? But they mad about some taxpayer money going to freaking people who had student loans.
Yeah, I think that was the last ditch effort to try to keep people on it, because I mean they're getting, like, a lot of people are polling showing how they are disappointed with the Democratic Party, and like a bunch of people are leaving. I mean, and I think a lot of them even know with the stance that I guess you could say that them damn my tell me what was my the last thing I was saying, so I can.
Oh man.
Yeah, you don't pay me no attention.
I'm always thinking about the next thing too. I be listening, but I was reading this guy's. I'm not gonna cover this, but this is in Louisiana. They said something about. Wait, let me play this because he said something about Louisiana at the beginning. But I really wanted to go to Mississippi because I mentioned that earlier. I want to go to that, but let me play this right quick.
And the pollution had impacts during COVID too. In March 2020, 2 of the 4 counties with the highest death rates due to COVID were found in Cancer Alley. Recently, the Environmental Protection Agency.
It's too much freaking music in there. That could possibly get me. I don't want to have problems with that. Let me see. What did I say? The Mississippi thing. Do you know about that? What's happening in Mississippi with the water and shit? Fuck. Do I have something?
I don't know exactly.
Fuck, I don't have nothing. I have Democracy Now, but it's gonna go over everything. I know it covers that, but hold on. It's everywhere. Mississippi. It's everywhere. So, cause they were flooding, they're going through it. But the main thing is the water is fucked up, and the water was fucked up before. Let's see, water situation. Let's see. All right, Jackson, Mississippi water crisis impacting 1,800 people. Hold on, let me see. Water crisis in Mississippi. Let's play this one. I think this is it because maybe this will tell us. Can y'all hear me? Something weird just happened. Okay, I lost my green screen. Let me see if I can get it back right quick, y'all. 1 second. Can I do this live? Nope, it won't let me. Anyways, I'll have to refresh, but I'm gonna play this video for y'all about Mississippi. Maybe I'll get you up to speed on it so then I could talk about it. I don't know if they're gonna cover everything in this because I don't know. I think I watched this, but I don't know what they say in this video.
In Mississippi are being told to expect little or no water for an undetermined amount of time. Shoppers raced to this Walmart for bottled water last night, only to find empty shelves. All Jackson public schools are switching to virtual learning indefinitely, and the lieutenant governor says Our understanding is the water and sewer system serving 250,000 citizens of the state and numerous businesses is at the brink of collapsing.
It means the city cannot produce enough water to fight fires, to reliably flush toilets.
In some parts of the city, the fire department is finding no water in fire hydrants.
All of our units have 500 gallons of water on it, and the guys can use that water to sustain a lot of incidents with just that.
The warnings come after a pump at the city's troubled water treatment facility was damaged. The governor says he was told last week that a failure was possible.
There was a near certainty that Jackson would fail to produce running water sometime in the next several weeks or months. Unfortunately, that failure appears to have begun today.
Jackson residents have been under boil water notices since last month when water samples found harmful contaminant levels. The mayor blames issues at the city's water and sewage plants on staffing shortages and decades of deferred maintenance. And now, flooding from the Pearl River is making the problem even worse.
And because of the river water that is coming into the plant, we have to change the way we treat the water, which consequently reduces the tank levels.
So the governor has now called in the National Guard to help distribute bottled water.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get...
That little bell might get me. They didn't even give the story justice, man. It's mostly black people. And they said, like, it's basically sewage in their water. Like, they can't use it for nothing. And then they don't even have... It's really a mess. Let me see. Democracy Now. Is this it? Let's see.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman in New York, joined by Democracy Now! Co-host Juan Gonzalez in New Brunswick, New Jersey. Hi, Juan.
Hi, Amy, and welcome to all of our listeners and viewers across the country and around the world.
Well, we begin today's show in Jackson, Mississippi, an overwhelmingly black city with more than 180,000 area residents who are facing their third day without running water. Officials say the crisis could last indefinitely. On Tuesday, people waited in long lines for bottled drinking water to fill up at tanker trucks full for water to flush toilets and more.
You don't have no water. You know, especially when you got newborn babies.
We are seeing the intentional divestment in communities that are led by Black elected officials. This has been an issue for me since I came down here to Tougaloo College in 1991. I was always told not to drink that water. When I came here to Jackson, it was smelling like chlorine.
On Tuesday night, President Biden authorized the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, to coordinate disaster relief efforts, quote, to lessen or avert the threat of a catastrophe in Hinds County. This came after Mississippi's governor declared a state of emergency for Jackson and the neighboring areas. For the past month, Jackson residents already had a boil water advisory due to problems with the city's main water treatment plant. When recent torrential rains caused the Pearl River to overtop its banks, the plant flooded and shut down, cutting off water supplies. Schools have shifted to online classes. Many businesses are closed amidst the ongoing water crisis. For more, we go to Jackson to speak with...
The water treatment plant was flooded. You know, the clip, I don't know where the clip is at, but the dude was saying, you know, the water treatment plant was flooded with sewage. It's like, that's what's in the water. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's the reason why they can't. You there, Pat?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just trying to see where, like, it doesn't make 100% sense because, you know, all right, the flooding, you said they got, I mean, it's going, like, all right, the sewage water is what they're trying to clean up for people to drink from.
It's the pumps. It's really because over time, not taking care of the pipes and the systems, right? So, like, this is not something that's overnight, but it's just that the flooding has exacerbated the problem. Like, to monstrous proportions where they got pumps that are pumping water that is fucking sewage water.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what's happening. And seeing nobody really cares because these are mostly black folks. So, but
Yeah, I
Biden
mean Jackson.
recently,
Yeah, because I mean Jackson is. I mean, shoot, that's what's his name? Damn. Yeah. What's
I don't know.
what's the rapper that from Jackson? Damn. He went to Southern University. He came. This is Baton Rouge with David Banner.
Okay, David Banner. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, David
Yeah.
Banner. He's an
That's how.
activist now. I follow that dude.
Yeah, he's been doing some stuff for a while. At one point he had some a show on that like a Banner Vision network or whatever, but I hadn't seen it in a long time. I don't know if they still airing or not. But
Yeah. So, yeah. So the water's fucked up. Damn it! I was gonna say something. I have. I thought I had. Let me just play some more of this.
With the mayor. Mayor Chokwe Antar Lumumba, welcome back to Democracy Now! You are in the midst of a massive crisis. The imminent cause, the climate crisis causing the flooding that has shut down the sewage treatment plant. But the issue of water in Jackson has been going on for a long time. You have been warning about it. Can you talk about what's happening on the ground right now and what you think is the real long-time cause of this?
Well, thank you, Amy, for having me again, and happy to be able to lift up this circumstance on your show. This has been something we've been crying out for more than 2 years, saying that it's not a matter of if our systems will fail, but a matter of when our systems will fail. I have described Jackson as the poster child of the infrastructure challenges that we see in this country. And so this is something that when the state joined me and shared that they would be bringing in resources, bringing in a team to support us, we welcome that with open arms because we've been saying that we needed the support. We've been saying that we need resources. And so this is a matter of human rights. This is a matter of deferred maintenance that has happened over decades, a lack of investment in capital improvements, and quite possibly, quite honestly, probably more than $1 billion worth of challenges that have to go into our water distribution system. And so we were sustaining some level of improvement yesterday, but the system, true to its form and true to what we have seen, had a bit of regression last night. And so we're struggling to get tanks back up, struggling to be able to restore water pressure across the city. And so we believe that our residents are worthy of a system which is sustainable, are worthy of a system which is equitable, serving all of the residents and not having a disproportionate effect on the poorest communities in South Jackson.
And Mayor, I wanted to ask you about the responsibility of the state government in this issue, the state legislature. Mississippi has long been the nation's poorest state. It's also the state with the highest percentage of African American residents. Could you talk about how the state has responded in the past to your request, and also the issue of the state constitution not allowing municipalities to tax themselves, have independent taxing authority, and how that affects your ability to remedy the water infrastructure problems?
It is clear that we're heavily reliant on the state for many of these resources, not only because we don't have the independent ability to tax ourselves, but because even the federal funding that is sent to or intended for cities like Jackson, the conduit that it comes through is actually the state of Mississippi. And so it's no secret that I have been consistent in lifting up that all parties that have that have ability, that have license or authority to help with this problem need to lean in and be a part of the process of its correction.
Babylon, that's Babylon. Let me read the
Well,
caption. Go ahead.
yeah, no, I was just gonna say it is messed up how they're trying to make it seem like okay, because it's black leadership in the city, that's like okay, that's why everything is failing. But the more you listen, you can see that okay, wait a minute, this is not we've been telling y'all about this for the longest, but y'all ignore it. Like but it's almost like they want it to happen, something bad to happen. I mean, this is like Flint, like they
Yeah.
didn't, they had like they knew what was going on. It took a little longer to discover because it was not a flood or something that was big. But I mean, when kids and even adults are getting sick from what they're is what's actually running through those pipes, it's just something. It's neglect, and it's not necessarily the people that you see right there in front of you right away.
Let me read the caption. It says, "We get an update on the water crisis in Jackson, Mississippi from Mayor Chokwe Antar Lumumba, where more than 180,000 residents of the majority black city are without running water. President Biden declared a federal emergency on Tuesday. Water has been cut off since the main water treatment plant flooded amid torrential rains. Lumumba says the emergency is the result of 3 decades of disinvestment from the state. We've been investing the money that we have, says Lumumba, who took office in 2017 and started alerting the state government of the challenges with the water system starting in 2018. We can't do it alone. We don't have $1 billion worth of resources to make it happen. That's crazy. And you know that the water systems across the nation are old as hell. I was seeing a video and they said it was like, I don't know, I might be exaggerating, but like the 1920s or 1930s or some shit is when a lot of the pipe was laid. And it's still that same pipe, and it's just they've been kicking the can down the road with that because it's so expensive. They don't want to do it. So then they have all these repairs that they do where they send this like plastic shit down into the tubes where and then it expands and covers the walls. You know what I'm saying? They got all this kind of shit like that they do instead of fucking replacing these damn pipes. All across the nation. But we got money to send to fucking Ukraine.
Exact. Hey, you robbing my thoughts right now. But you're right. I mean, that's the part that don't make sense, and it's it don't make no sense, bro.
And it's a lot of money. It's gonna cost a lot of money. He's talking about billions of dollars. He probably talking about for them, right there, that one little city or whatever. Freaking, this is expensive, and it's super expensive because they haven't done it in so long. You know what I'm saying? The whole thing needs to be redone. They could have been doing parts of it over time. Now we're at a point where the whole fucking shit is shit. And it's gonna cost so much amount of money to fix. Then no one's gonna want to do it. Let me read some comments. It says, "Thank you. Finally putting the light on problems some people will keep hitting. Please keep a light on injustice in our country." Another comment, it says, "Don't let them blame this on floods. The man said they've been asking for help with this water situation for the last 2 years."
Yeah.
Another comment, it says, "It's bad enough in small towns and cities without a revenue." Another comment, it says, "There's always ample cash for war making foreign adventures, while the country's infrastructure maintenance or replacement has been largely neglected for decades. Citizens need to step up and demand much more from federal, state governments who only really interest is in keeping their rich donors happy." It says you guys need to come together and start voting as a fist. Stop voting for bootlicks and politicians who don't have your best interests. Another comment, it says, I feel bad for this mayor. He is too polite and taken advantage of by the establishment machine. Jackson has been bleeding for decades. They don't need a polite, well-spoken, and behaved mayor. They need someone to fight for them with no apologies to the status quo. But how would he have gotten elected? And just like the guy before, he says, you guys need to start voting as a fist. I like that. It sounds really good. But that's not going to answer these problems, bro. That's not going to do it. I'm sorry. We're not at the point where voting is going to get us out of it.
No. Unless we're really able to get, the corruption part out of it, which, you know,
You'd have to you have to get, like I say, some of them, we was just saying it in the other video, some of those congressmen ain't coming up for a re-election for another 6 years. You know what I'm saying? No, a lot of them just need to go. Like, they shouldn't be there. Like, you know what I mean? You can't do that by voting. They need to go. They don't need to be in there. Before I lose you, man, I wanted to talk about the Constitution because somebody asked me a question today and it stumped me. And it was like, the question was, what is the Sixth Amendment or the Seventh Amendment? What was it? One of them. The Sixth. They asked me, what is the Sixth Amendment? And I was like, oh, I got to look that up.
So did you?
Yeah, I looked it up. I want to put this on the screen, though, for y'all. So let me look it up on here. Okay, so do you know what the Sixth Amendment, before I pull this up, the Sixth Amendment, this is Wikipedia. I want something better than that. Hold on. Okay, this is a little bit better. All right, let me share this. Yeah, so they asked me what was the Sixth Amendment, and it's like it's like a high school question, high school test question. But freaking, we be talking about the Constitution all the time, and I think we should go back to it and actually look at it sometimes. All right, so the Sixth Amendment guarantees the rights of criminal defendants, including the right to public trial without unnecessary delay, the right to a lawyer, the right to impartial jury, and the right to know who your accusers are, and the nature of the charges and evidences against you. Hold on. Something not right. Because maybe I'm thinking of something else because of the $20 thing. Hold on, y'all. And the other thing is like the Bill of Rights, right? They talk about the Bill of Rights. People say the Bill of Rights. It's the first 10, right? It's the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. Am I right about that? Fuck, what I'm looking for is not fucking here. Anyways, it has been most visibly tested in a series of cases involving terrorism, but much more often figures in cases involve, for example, jury selection or the protection of witnesses, including victims of sex crimes as well as witnesses in need of protection from retaliation. Now, I want to go to let's see, Bill of Rights. Because they had to, the thing about this is because they had, why did they have to do this? Like, it's like the system that we live under. Freaking, they was like, okay, wait, these people are gonna get exploited and taken advantage of and screwed over. So, yeah, we got to make these amendments right quick. They came out with the Bill of Rights like right after the Constitution, right? It wasn't that long, right?
Say that again.
I said they came out with it pretty soon after the Constitution was minted, right? They came out with the Bill of Rights. It was like, hey, we gotta fix this. Okay, I'm looking at the Bill of Rights. I think I got it shared on the screen. Yes. First Amendment, religion, speech, press, assembly, petition in 1791. So all of these was in 1791. That's what I mean. They just, they. The Second Amendment was right to bear arms. The third is quartering of troops. The fourth is search and seizure. The Fifth Amendment is grand jury, double jeopardy, self-incrimination, due process. The sixth is criminal prosecutions, jury trial, right to confront and to counsel. The seventh is common law suits. I think the 7-1 is the one I was thinking of about the $20. Hold on, let me look at this. Right to trial by jury, identify cases. Hold on, y'all. This site kind of got all these ads on here. It's distracting me. I'll move on. The Eighth Amendment was access to bail or fines, cruel or unusual punishment. The Ninth Amendment was enumerated rights. And the 10th Amendment is rights reserved to states or people. I wonder if I can freaking look at all of this together. I want to see it all together. Okay, let me see. Nope, I'm all over the place. This ain't gonna work. Anyways, I'm gonna go back. Bill of Rights. You there, Pat? Did I lose you?
No, I'm here. No, I am
um,
tired. Getting kind of weak, tired for the day.
yeah, so if someone just asked you randomly what was the Sixth Amendment or what was the Seventh Amendment, I think most people wouldn't be able to say it. And then you have like, what are the ones after that? It's the 11th, 12th, the 13th Amendment. That's the one everybody knows, right? Hold on, let me see.
The fifth.
I don't know what the hell, bro. I don't know what's up with this Cornell Law School. I probably should just let the Wikipedia do it. I'm starting to get tired too. 13th Amendment. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude except as punishment for a crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. And Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. So neither slavery nor involuntary servitude except as punishment for a crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted shall exist within the United States. Do they have the overall? Yeah, this is good right here. Constitution anointed. I want to go back to like the 11th. let's see, the 10th Amendment. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Or to the people. Let me read this again. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution. So the powers that the Constitution didn't explicitly say that the United States would have, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. So the thing is, that's when they always talk about states' rights and the power of the states. And then, people talk about small government. That's what they've been talking about with conservatives. But then the last line says, or to the people, reserved to the states respectively or to the people. I don't think the or to the people part gets used very much.
Probably not.
The 11th Amendment says the judicial power of the United States shall not be construed to extend to any suit in law or equity commenced or prosecuted against one of the United States by citizens of another state or by citizens of subjects of any foreign state. So the judicial power of the United States shall not be construed to extend to any suit in law or equity commenced or prosecuted against one of the United States citizens by another state or by the citizen of subject. That sounds like, I think about Brittany Griner with this, because it sounds like, because but she was in Russia at the time, so maybe that's what they mean. We'll move on. Damn, the 11th Amendment, the 12th Amendment. The electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for president and vice president, one of whom at least shall not be an of the same state, inhabitant of the same state with themselves. They shall name in their ballots the person voted for as president, and in distinct ballots the person voted for as vice president. And they shall make distinct lists of all persons voted for as president and of all persons voted for as vice president. This is a damn intense ass one. So it's like they're very concerned with how the voting happens. So the 13th was the slavery one. The 14th was all persons born of naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. And that had to do with, Jim Crow laws and racism in the South. The 15th Amendment, the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state or on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. And then it says the Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. It's crazy that they had to put this in here, though. People they love the Constitution, but then it's like the amendments of the Constitution, but they hate amendments. But then it's like the Constitution was written in a way for it to be amended because they knew.
When they still trying to jack you around with the verbiage, so it's not gonna be ever really just be totally clear and fair and clear, because people who are writing these bills are creating these laws or whatever. A lot of times, that's how they get over on most people, is because they don't understand language. So
Yeah, but then we have this double speak. How are we supposed to understand? I was thinking about this earlier, and it was like how they change what something means. Like, the Trojan horse. What does that mean?
The children. That's what That's when they like the setup. You remember the what when they brought the gifts to the king or whatever, and they had all of they had a bunch of soldiers inside it, and then like they took it inside of the kingdom, and now they got people inside of the kingdom. You remember the statue that they brought or
Yeah,
whatever?
yeah, that's the original meaning of it. Yes, but my point is that's not the meaning of it now. Like, it doesn't mean that when people say that now, like it has a different connotation to it. When people say Trojan horse,
What is it?
and
What does it mean now then?
it's like, damn it, I'm thinking about too much shit at one time, bro. I'm losing it because I'm sorry. I'm trying to get back to my point of like,
All right, go
um,
ahead.
the the
Yeah, go
the
ahead.
the way the different words are used when they use the double speak, and it um changes the meaning and confuses people. So they're just like that. We're talking about you said that they don't understand the words, and that's how they get misled. But then why, is the law written in this language that's hard for people to understand, even though it is English? But why is it, you know why is it arranged or, you know projected in a way that's confusing to average people, that you gotta get a lawyer to decipher this shit? Some dude that went to school forever and shit. It doesn't have to be that way. That's my point. Why can't it just be layman's terms? But that's what they use. They
That's
use this double speak.
because it's a jack move, and that's the whole thing. They're manipulating language in order to get over on you. That's why I say, like, with the whole idea with the Trojan horse. Like, I mean, all everything that you need is right there. Some people still go spend 2,000, 4,000 for somebody to come show up in court with you for shit, man. It might be time for me to go because I'm like, I have my thought clear and then it's just like blanking out on me. So my gigs are running low. My what you call it? My
RAM. You run out of RAM space.
no, not well, yeah, I guess the RAM, yeah, is defective right now because I can't even pull up the storage. What they call the storage part of it?
Um,
A gigabytes
Database.
of
Yeah.
whatever. I'm just not processing properly right now, man.
It's all good, man. It's almost 2 a.m.
Yeah, man. And it's gonna be time for me to get up and drive again. I just I apologize.
All right, man. Get you some rest, bro.
All right, man. Peace.
All right, bro. Peace.
You doing it again tomorrow?
Yep, I'll be here.
All right. Yeah, I'll probably be able to get me a nap. I couldn't get me a nap because I was heading. I had to shave and all kind of other kind of stuff tonight. So, but I should be able to have me a little bit of rest before I come on.
All right.
All right, man. Well, we'll chat.
Peace.
Peace.
All right, bro. I wanted to talk about Sarah Palin losing and this Aboriginal Alaskan lady becoming a senator. Do I have that somewhere? Hold on, y'all. I think I have it. I'm gonna just play. I don't know. I might just get out of here and save that for tomorrow. Yeah, I think I'm gonna save it. I'll give y'all something to look forward to. Talk about politics. Probably mostly focus on politics tomorrow. Ooh, some mosquitoes eating his ass up. I saw this clip. Did I share that? Where they was using ice to take the grease out of something that they cooked. I thought that was really clever. I never seen that before. Oh yeah, that's the one about the "In God We Trust." I don't know where the hell that shit is at. I lost it. I'm getting tired too, man. I think I'm gonna wrap it. I didn't even talk about the damn title. Consuming Innocence. Consuming Innocence. Like, what does that mean to you? Consuming Innocence. You know, the reason why I named it Consuming Innocence is because I was thinking about how the process of this world, the things that happen, what it does, you know. You think about yourself, you think about the people you know, you think about the history of your own memories, and how it's at some point you looked at the world and you saw it as beautiful and fruitful, and that you could basically do whatever you wanted, you know. And then at some point in your life, you realize that some of that stuff may be not true, you know. So what happened? And then it's like consuming of the innocence, like I said. And then I was saying, like, if it was like a horror movie and the guy was a villain, that would be something that the villain would say is like the taste of the innocence. I want to eat the innocence. I want to consume the innocence, you know. And it seems like we have a system that we live in that is doing just that, you know, actively doing it, you know, keeping people from their creativity, just keeping you from being your your authentic self, you know, because you think about children and you think about yourself when you were a child and you just ran around, you know, just run around, you know. And it's like at some point it's like there's like, oh, you can't do that anymore, you're an adult, you have to grow up, you can't just run around out there in the yard no more. It's like, why? Well, you're an adult and that's what kids do, you know. You're not supposed to do that, you know. So that's it, that's where it happens, you know. You see how you adults, like a lot of people, they won't go swimming, and you know, they take the kids places and let them have fun, and then they just watch them have fun, and then they're like, you know, I'm not supposed to do that because you know, I'm an adult now, you know. Why do we do that? Why does it become a point where we no longer feel like we're supposed to have fun and run around, you know? Why do we feel like we can't get out there with the kids and do whatever the hell they're doing? Like it's wholesome activity, whatever it is. I mean, you know, if you have bad knees or something, like you can't move, actually, I get it, you know. But other than that, I mean, whatever the hell they're doing, they're climbing on the jungle gym, or whatever, they're swinging on the swings, you know. Why not? You can't do that. So that's what I'm saying, though. Consuming the innocence, our system that we have, that we live under, it trains us, you know, and then we give it away. We give it away, live willingly, you know. We allow the system to consume our innocence, and we just accept it, you know, like that's just the way it's supposed to be. And it's crazy because everybody just tells you that's how what you're supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to do. When you're a kid, you run around, you have fun. Once your childhood is over, that's dead. Now it's time to just work, pay bills, you know, you know, and be happy about it. Buy stuff, buy more stuff. It'll, you know, kids play around, you buy stuff. You know, that's how you make yourself happy, is by buying stuff. The kids run around, you know, don't worry about that. The kid. Anyways, I might come back to this. I wanted to talk about this today. I wish I would have brought it up while Pat was still in here, but I forgot to bring it up. It is what it is, y'all. What do y'all think? What do y'all think about what is consuming innocence? What does that mean to you? What does that mean to you? Do you think our innocence gets consumed? Pakistan is going through it too with the floods. It says driving back from Peshawar to Islamabad and to the motorway is lined with tents and lean toes of Pakistanis made destitute or homeless by the floods that have left a third of the country underwater. Some are sheltering their cows and livestock as well. Women rush to cars that slow down to give money and food. Yeah, they're going through it. Oh wait, anytime water technique.
What is your image? Some strong person killing another strong person. Reality, most murders don't act like that. They don't say, hey man, I'm gonna see you on the block at noon and we're gonna go gun to gun like back. And no, murderers poison you. They stab you in the back. They kill someone you love to get you to be at a certain place at a certain time. It's not an honorable thing to be someone who destroys another human life for petty monetary gain. You know what I mean? That's something that's reserved for somebody doing something horrible to your family or some injustice that just cannot be righted any other way. I always tell people there's two types of beef that can never be squashed. You can never unkill someone and you can never unfuck someone. Out of all those things I just said, you can resolve pretty much every other issue. When you get the image of a murderer or a killer in rap, what is your image? Some strong person.
Yeah, that's an old Immortal Technique clip. Been dropping jewels forever. Oh, I wanted to cover some art. Let's do that right quick before I go. Yeah. Because I like it. Oh man, my screen is going slow. Why are we going slow? Okay. Yeah, the art. We should appreciate art more. Anyways, let me play this. I found this channel and I like it. So I'm going to share it with y'all.
I've seen this painting before. I feel like if you've seen it once, you can't forget it. Like it just gets stuck in your brain and won't. Hold on, I'm sorry, this is not right. Just give me 1 sec. So much better. Whoa. This piece is called The Fallen Angel by Alexandre Cabanel. The painting was an attempt by the artist to claw back his reputation in the art world. So he took a risk that ended up being a complete failure. But how? How could a painting this stunning be so unpopular? The devil's in the details, so let's take a closer look at this piece. We're placed in front of a fierce figure surrounded by angels flying overhead. They seem to be having a great time, but what's wrong with him? He looks a little tense. Maybe he's just upset because his bare bum is really cold from sitting on this rock. Are those wings I see? Well, he certainly looks like an angel, but who is this mysterious marble-like muscle man with impressively large tears? Let me introduce you to someone you probably already know. This is Lucifer. And welcome to his origin story. Let's rewind a bit to Paris in the year 1845. Cabanel is 22 years old and has just won the Prix de Rome scholarship, a scholarship that was awarded by the French government to young artists, giving them the opportunity to study in Rome. Cabanel made his debut at the Paris Salon just 1 year prior, and he quickly became the crowd favorite. Not that surprising, given he was extremely talented. I mean, look at this self-portrait he did when he was only 13 years old. Amazing. Fast forward to 1846, only 1 year later, his career took a turn when he submitted a piece titled Orestes, the subject of many ancient Greek plays. The story goes, when Orestes' father came back from war, his mother and her lover killed him. After this, Orestes murdered his mother and her lover. Because of his actions, the three Furies followed him everywhere he went, until he sought judgment for his crime and was acquitted. An interesting story, but much to Cabanel's horror, the judges absolutely hated this piece. They described it as an oversized and inept composition. This seemed to send the artist into somewhat of a quarter-life crisis. Much of Cabanel's work up to this point, although skillful, was admittedly a bit boring. It lacked emotion, and he knew it. Cabanel was a trained academic painter. The content of academic art had to be of high moral caliber. The subject in the paintings had to look ideal, their skin silky smooth and absent of any texture from the brush. Maybe you can guess what they thought of impressionist artists like Monet and Renoir. Cabanel was down, but he was not out. And although he had to work within the boundaries set by the strict art establishment, he needed to try something a bit different. And that he did. Here's the backstory. In the Christian tradition, Lucifer, one of God's angels, was so enamored with his own beauty, intelligence, and power that he began to desire the same honor and glory that belonged to God. He eventually rebelled against God, and as a result, he was cast out of heaven. The fallen angel seems to have landed on a rock atop a hill or a mountain. Given there's a mountainscape and clouds almost at the same elevation in the distance, and angels are flying not far overhead. He's in a reclined position, but his body appears tense and flexed, almost as if he's preparing to take flight once more. There's a stark contrast between the bright sky in the background and the dark foreground where the fallen angel lies, with the exception of the light cast on the subject's body. His feathers have an ombre pattern. The top appears lighter, almost matching the light blue sky above. The bottom is darker and almost blends in with the rock that he sits on. The angels in the sky seem to be rejoicing in his defeat and echo the same reclining crescent pose as Lucifer. His reddish-brown hair flows in the wind like an erratic flame. His right arm stretches in front of his body and clasps his left hand, covering the bottom half of his face, accentuating his red-rimmed eyes. It's like he's trying to hide his expression, but we can still tell how he's feeling. His smoldering eyes beam with silent rage, shame, and vengeance. A tear streams from his right eye, and another tear from his left eye hides in the shadows. This painting feels really confusing because this figure, who's the ultimate embodiment of sin and evil, and someone we should hate, is so relatable. There are a few reasons I think this is. The first is, we all know how he feels. Lucifer almost seems like a little boy sulking after being reprimanded for his actions. Haven't we all, directly or indirectly, had this experience at some point in our lives? On top of that, he certainly doesn't look like a monster. Quite the opposite, in fact. Cabanel's take on Lucifer's alluring appearance didn't come out of thin air. The Bible says in the book of Ezekiel 28, verse 12 and verse 17 respectively, "You are the seal of full measure, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. Your heart was lifted because of your beauty. You have corrupted your wisdom by reason of your splendor." This painting is clearly rooted in a Christian perspective, but is ultimately based on John Milton's epic poem Paradise Lost, which reads, "But his face deep scars of thunder had entrenched, and care sat on his faded cheek. But under brows of dauntless courage, and considerate pride waiting revenge, cruel his eye, but cast signs of remorse and passion to behold the fellows of his crime." He paints Lucifer with the very human feelings of worry and sadness, mixed with courage and vengeance. This is the study of the piece Cabanel made before the final version. We can tell based on the preliminary work that it was an intentional choice on the artist's part to show more of Lucifer's face. I think this makes it easier for us to connect with him because of his undeniable beauty and raw emotion. But why did Cabanel want us to connect and empathize with such a figure? Could he have been trying to illustrate Lucifer's master manipulation abilities? The Bible verse Isaiah 11:14 says, "Satan masquerades as an angel of light." Maybe the artist is trying to portray that Lucifer's outward display of emotion is simply a tool he's using to draw in compassionate viewers. Cabanel was at a low point when he created this piece. His good friend Alfred Bruyas had just left Rome in 1846, and the artist seemed pretty heartbroken about it. Cabanel wrote him a letter saying, "Several times of an evening I have have put down on paper details for my present life as to send them to you in letters. On rereading them, however, I find them joyless and full of sorrow that I burned them. Yeah, I got kind of sad just reading that. Many young artists in his shoes loved to go out to explore the eternal city, but Cabanel painted a very different picture of his life. A lonely one, in fact. He wrote to his friend in 1847, "I have been leading a rather ordinary life, one completely devoted to art. I have remained as untouched, as pure as Rome's Vestal Virgins of days gone by." I think it's safe to say Cabanel was dealing with his own demons when he created the fallen angel, and maybe this is the reason he was able
lonely.
to conceive such a captivating Lucifer, because he was going through some of the same emotions the fallen angel would have felt. Cabanel was the chosen artist of the day, just like Lucifer was God's chosen angel, but he was knocked off his pedestal, maybe not as dramatically as Lucifer was cast from heaven, but it could have felt that way to him. And there was more turbulence ahead. When the judges saw this painting, they wanted nothing to do with it. They said, the movement is wrong, the draftsmanship imprecise, the execution deficient. They also claimed that it was too romantic in style. Furthermore, no student had ever submitted a piece of art featuring the devil as the subject, and definitely not one that looked like this, which certainly caused some drama to say the least. Cabanel was devastated once more and responded saying, "That's my reward for all the trouble I gave myself not to submit an average piece of work." It took 3 years for Alexandre Cabanel to finally win back favor with the judges with his piece, Death of Moses, and he went on to have an enormously successful art career. He was frequently appointed juror of the Paris Salon and became a teacher at his alma mater, training many generations of artists that followed. Possibly his most well-known masterpiece, The Birth of Venus, created in 1863, is considered the epitome of academic art. But let's be honest, it's no fallen angel. Shout out to Kitty for recommending this painting. If you
Yeah. I don't know if y'all following this or if it's boring to y'all. Let me read the caption. It says, "This piece is called The Fallen Angel by Alexandre Cabanel. The painting was an attempt by the artist to claw back his reputation in the art world, so he took a risk that ended up being a complete failure. The backstory of the painting is that Lucifer, one of God's angels, was so enamored with its own beauty, intelligence, and power that he began to desire the same honor and glory that belonged to God. He eventually rebelled against God, and as a result, he was cast out of heaven. It is the moment Cabanel has captured before us. When the judges saw this painting, they wanted nothing to do with it." Let me read some comments. It says, "It's almost impossible to believe that art like this was painted with a brush and a human hand. What unfathomable talent and skill these artists have." Another comment, it says, "Such a stunning piece of art. Those eyes are incredible." Another one, it says, "People really can't understand what a hold the Academy had on art during its heyday. Basically, you either did it the exact way they wanted it done, or it wasn't even good enough to be used as firewood. And upsettingly, most people bought into and accepted whatever the Academy's verdict was." I don't think that's different today, buddy. Let me read another one. It says, "This man's art was genius and beautiful. All the criticism he had to take for his masterwork were definitely not legitimate and makes me quite angry. Thank you for introducing me to him. I am actually very interested in his art now." Another one, it says, "Man, art critics will always find something to complain about in an otherwise excellent art piece." Another one, it says, "I never thought I'd subscribe to an art history channel. None of my success look as good as these failures. At least people appreciate the painting centuries later." Having another comment, it says, "Having read and studied Paradise Lost, this painting makes perfect sense, as well as the artist's choices for doing what he did." Another one, it says, "I can't believe this painting was a flop. When I first saw it, I thought it was beautiful. I'm very happy you covered it." Yeah. This comment, it says, "I love this. Man was really going through it, like unironically poured his whole heart into that piece, and in the end, it was a huge flop." like, yeah, I think he really did pour his heart into that piece. It's funny that you make the run of the mill stuff, like the average trashy, like I create stuff too. And it's like you create the regular stuff, that's what people like. The stuff you really, really go in on, and they be like, meh. It's kind of sad. Anyways, y'all, I'm gonna wrap it. Peace and love. Thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for listening.